Peace. What's good? After Elemental,
This is D Chorus.
and this is through our lens. We a show where we talk about things from our perspective. Different perspectives. We are men who have a certain view on life, who did a certain amount of living, and we want to talk about some of the things that's on our mind.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? One of the things we're going to touch on today is just about marijuana. To me, marijuana is like the new crack, right? It's people don't want to say it, but you look at the addiction with it. There's a lot of addiction with it. People don't talk about. In the high school, there's a high volume of usage of marijuana in the morning, afternoon, um, before school class, after class, during class. Um, it's not really being addressed with the new legalization situation in New York. Like, what's some of the things you feel on that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. Not kind of disturbing. It is disturbing because I know people use different substances for different reasons, but it feels like a, over self medication of people who are actually not even legally supposed to be using it. Right? This is underage people, and they it's like I don't see self control with it.
Yeah.
I don't see any self control. I see like I know people who's like they get up in the morning, they gotta get high, right? And then they gotta smoke some more because they gotta get outside. They feeling anxious about getting out. Like deal with the underlying issue, right? People are using it because some of them is because there's an underlying issue. There may be anxiety, there may be frustration, there may be these different things. And I feel as if a doctor's not prescribing it anything. They say it's illegal. Well, this country has not always been for the good of the people,
Yeah.
right? So, alcohol, they say, oh, alcohol, you're going to have a lot of people. Don't hate. Before I finish the statement, too, make sure you press subscribe, like, notifications. We need more subscribers so the YouTube algorithm could show us some love because we're not getting no love right now on YouTube, right? So subscribe, like, share, all of that. But let me get back to that now. Yeah, I just feel like this country, like I said, has not always been for the benefit or the best for the people. Alcoholism, I mean, slavery, right? Uh, indigenous peoples being slaughtered. That was stuff that happened here, right? And I know the country can make a lot of money from marijuana, but nobody's talking about the side effects. A lot of drunk drivers, not drunk, but drivers under the influence,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's it's marijuana is $1 billion industry now.
Mm.
They say 20% of people believe in a country at 2019 smoke marijuana. Like 20% of the country, right?
Mm.
Um, so it's $1 billion industry now. So in New York City alone, we have this mass explosion of smoke shops, right? They are not even dispensaries; they're just smoke shops, and realistically, they are selling weed in these smoke shops. That's what's really going on. Is because the dispensary they have legalization to sell the marijuana. Smoke shops is it's funny because it's back in the days people got locked up for having smoke shops, right? So now
Right.
once we put a certain demographic and population on this and then put it in the stores is something totally different. So
Right.
marijuana is impacting people in an unprecedented way.
These smoke shops are not owned by any black people that I know of. They're owned by different nationalities, different groups of people.
Well, a lot of them are owned by Arabs, um, which is it's unique and it's funny. Because we used to get locked up for marijuana at one time. Now it's marijuana is legal. So and people don't understand the ramifications and the impact that it have. Like what I'm saying, marijuana. Some of the side effects of marijuana is long term is erectile dysfunction. Like
Mm.
some people don't even know that. Like so from a substance abuse counselor standpoint, it's like long term effect is that mean that your manhood is not going to be able to get up, right? You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? Short term memory. possible links to cancer. So these are just some of the things. And people smoke marijuana with grabba, cigars, all the other cancerous material that's going to have a long-term effect. So if you're looking at somebody that's smoking at 14 and 15, and then they're at 24, 25, that's 10-year damage that they did to their lungs that we're not even looking at.
Wow. I just thought of something. I mean, not to make light of anything, but I remember somebody didn't say erectile dysfunction. They said reptile dysfunction. I just remember that. This just popped in my head, just a random thought. But let's get back to the seriousness. Um, the side effects, as you mentioned, and side effects. So I did not know that erectile dysfunction was a side effect of marijuana. Um, I know that a lot of times, it's supposed to be like some people use it to bring themselves down. Some people get paranoid. Like I know somebody, this is an interesting marijuana story, but somebody I know, very close, smoking weed, and two of them sitting on the couch, and one of them's crying, and it was like, "Why are you crying?" He said, "You didn't see my legs get up and walk out." Know another guy. I remember we supposed to have a rhyme cipher. This guy smoked some weed, and he was standing facing the corner of the room, just laughing, like facing the corner. And he just stayed there. He just didn't move. He just kept laughing. And we was like, I guess we're not gonna have a cipher now. This is like, it is what it is. But um I've known people who smoke certain types of weed and forgot how to breathe. Like,
Well, it's a lot of chemicals input into it now. It's
right.
infused. When you look at certain places, I remember I went to Vegas, or Cali, and you go into this rest, they ask you how you want to feel. You want to be up or down, like what I'm saying. You want to be mellow, or you want to be tired, like, or you want something to put you to sleep. So the espresso is chemically engineered to set a certain condition, right? But in the urban areas or in the streets, you don't really know what you're getting. Like it can be laced with fentanyl. We really don't know. So to me, I think certain weeds are laced with fentanyl because of the repetitiveness of smoking so much. Like if you smoke 30 minutes ago and now 30 minutes later you want to smoke again, it's something with that.
I would think that the effect would last longer, right? But 30 minutes, that's a lot. Like I remember I had this project I did when I was running a GED program in a not-for-profit, right? I was doing computer training, teaching them how to kind of bring up their reading scores and their math scores, but using the computer. And we did a project on marijuana back then. This was, I want to say, 2000 actually, 2000. And we had people in the program who sold it, and we had people in the program who purchased it, right? So I was like, okay, let's do. I say, listen, there's no right or wrong, no judgment. I just want to know if you believe marijuana is good, write about it and cite your reasons, right? And if you believe it's bad, write about it and cite your reasons. Ultimately, when I got the papers back and we was reading stuff out loud without naming who wrote it, um, most people who bought it was like marijuana is natural, it's from the earth, the story that you hear, right? God meant us to have it because blah 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 blah. And then the people who sold it was like, I'm here to make money, so I spray bug spray on it. I spray polyurethane on it. Um, some people was like we dip it in embalming fluid that we get from the funeral home that they use to clean out the cadavers, right? Um, and they were talking about all the stuff they put in it. So it started a conversation without me having to be in the middle of it. The people who sold it started having conversations with their customers now, and they would say, "But why did you put all that stuff in it?" And they cussed. They said, "Because it gets you high. That's why." And then the people who were purchasing it, they was like, they said to me, Mister, I'm scared now because some of the stuff they talking about causes cancer. I said, exactly. And it was like, but I can't stop using it.
But and that's the thing. Nobody. That's why I call it the new crack. Right.
Right.
It's the new crack that's cool
Mm,
because a lot of people do it, but they really can't stop.
right.
Working with kids, I work with young people. It's like, hey, You got to do a drug test. Oh, I don't want the job, right? You don't want the job because you don't want to stop smoking weed.
Right.
So if that's not addictive behavior, that this is something you can't do without, right?
Right.
You can't come to work high, right? Yo, you smell like weed. I just smoke, but you do know this is a job. You can't. So the addiction is already there. People are not really, touching on or talking about it. We was talking earlier, and not to say allegedly, when you look at certain jobs people have, you don't know if they're high.
Right.
Right? We was talking about the plane situation, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
we was talking about these near misses on the planes. You hear about, this plane's about to take off. This plane was about to hit the plane. There was another one. This plane's flying in the air. And I asked the question, was they high on marijuana or did they recently smoke it? Because, and I'm not trying to blame it, but I'm trying to be realistic, right? If you say, okay, marijuana is legal and somebody smokes a joint before they go to work, right? They smoke something, they go to work, and then they drive in the car and they get into a car accident, I expect to hear more of this because now something that that alters your mood, it's a mood altering thing. You're not supposed to get behind the wheel of the car. And we was talking about this earlier too. There's a lot of people who either driving by on the highway, I see them in their car, whatever the case, and they are lighting up.
Yeah, just smoking.
Right? And smoking, and then they hit the road like nothing. And we were talking about that and drunk driving. So driving while under the influence, marijuana, there are things happening.
Yeah.
I expect to see more critical work mishaps. I expect it because I know that it slows your response time. People think that it enhances you. It actually slows you down and dulls you down, right? So they're taking this, they're doing, let me just say, hypothetically, air traffic controllers, you know what I'm saying? Hypothetically, bus drivers, hypothetically, plane operators, public servants who are now doing this because it's legal now, and they go to work and people's lives are at risk, right? It would be insane to be like, yo, this doctor was high off marijuana and botched the operation, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Yeah, it's just because a lot of people are using it now to deal with anxiety, to sleep. So it's other things they're using it for, but not realizing, if constantly using it, it's addiction there. And I think people need to just look up what addiction is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we are not doctors and stuff like this, but you know what I'm saying? When it comes to marijuana, when it comes to just the addiction part, we are speaking about the addiction part, right? People don't have jobs and spending, hey, this is Zaza, right? So I'm spending $80 for 3.5 grand, which they consider the eighth in the hood, right? You're spending this amount of money for a zip, right? You don't even have a job. You don't have a bank account, right?
Right.
But we got money to get these things, and that reminds me of the back in the days, some of the crack addicts. Like, so this is my thing is, when I work with the kids, I say, yo, the dope fiends back in the days had a kit. It was a drug kit, right? They had the spoon, they had a lighter, they had a needle, and they had cotton.
Right, something to tie their arm to.
Yes,
right.
with the rubber, right?
Right.
With the weed today, they got their own kit, right? They got the tray, they got the cruncher, they got the grava, they got the lighter, and then they got the paper. Right? It's similarities.
Right.
It's not the same impact because it's not talked about as much. And it's legal now.
Do you think that it normalized addiction? Because I think there's two things. Looking at people who's hooked on opioids and not calling them what they called us back in the day when our people was hooked on opioids. We was no good, right? And we belong under the jailhouse, right? But now that the people who are hooked on opioids don't look like us, right? And now it's a human crisis, right? Yeah. Now it's something different. Does marijuana also normalize addiction? Because now it's going to increase. A lot of these things are being marketed to underage people, because there's an age limit, right?
Yeah.
What's the age limit? What, 21? Did they say?
21. Yeah. 21.
Okay, so a lot of these stores got candy that look like kids' candy, right? All of this stuff. So I feel like there's a targeting, a purposeful targeting of underage people, and there is a normalizing of addiction, like addiction is okay. Not to say people who are addicted are bad people. It's not a good behavior to have. So I'll go on record and say that addiction is not a good behavior. I don't know how therapists talk to people. I don't know how they framing it in the medical field. It's not a good thing to be addicted, right? So where is these? I'm pretty sure they said they're going to say they're going to come up with programs to help with addiction, but they're making money off addiction, right? This is not like when I was growing up in high school, decades ago. My teachers used to tell me about their drug use. They were white teachers. Oh, I took some acid.
Yeah.
I tripped on this. I snorted some cocaine. I felt this way. I smoked some marijuana. I felt this way. And they would tell the students about it. And they was using while they, they didn't stop, right? But they would say things like this. You hear things like, well, I only use on the weekends though.
They used to call them weekend warriors.
Yeah, recreational
yes.
users, right? I do it when I'm with my friends. That's not what I'm saying to marijuana today.
Yeah,
Dudes are smoking every day.
Every day and everywhere.
Every day, everywhere, on the train.
On the bus.
Oh my goodness, on the train. Yo, dudes be lighting up on the train and then be like, what? Like, you're not supposed to say nothing to them on the train. Now, I'm sure that if everybody if you ride the train like I do, take a look at the things posted on the train. I guarantee you one of them's going to say no smoking. And here's another thing that people may not be aware of. Smoking marijuana is still smoking. Okay? It's, even with the vapes, but they be vaping on the train, but they be lighting up like every time I take the train. So I tend to take the back of the train. I'm gonna tell you this funny one, then you finish it. You can talk some more. I get on the back of the train, dude smoking marijuana. And I'm already in the train, right? So I gotta go through the car to get to the next car. Dude in the next car smoking marijuana too. I had to go 3 cars in. I'm like, oh my God. And it stunk, bro. It was the nastiest smelling stuff I ever smelled.
The funny thing to that is marijuana, if your family have any psychosis, mental health issues, marijuana increases that.
Yes.
Right? It increases the schizophrenia and other things like that because it goes straight to the brain. Marijuana is a cognitive function drug. So, a lot of that's why the short-term memory, like you can get high and forget where you put your keys at, right? Or some people get high, forget where they parked at because it affects you a different way. And I think people are not looking at the impact.
Right.
Short-term or long-term, because like I say, billions of dollars. I think it's going to make $2 billion, marijuana. It's going to make $2 billion this year alone. So that's a lot of money. So when you look at marijuana in the totality, it is another revenue stream for the government because now they're legalizing it. So you're talking about people that make the cigars, you're talking about people that make the paper, who make the cruncher, who make the grava. Like you ain't even get to the weed yet, right? So you got people. They have certain restaurants now where they got weed infused in the food. So it's almost like Amsterdam, like where you can just get the drugs. Somebody said a long time ago you're gonna be able to go to a vending machine and get crack, dope, whatever you want to do because this is how it's starting to navigate.
And like my question is like, how does that make the society better, right? Instead of dealing with an issue, you embrace the issue, and I'm going to say it. You're going to see a decline in society, right? Nobody's going to want to stand up and fight or do certain things that they need to be done because now everybody getting high, right? So there's not going to be a situation where people are going to be motivated to achieve a certain level. I just feel it, man. Like not putting your best foot forward. Because like people smoke it, they get relaxed, right?
Yeah.
They get relaxed. So if something's going on in our community and you just relaxing, but you're not trying to really get down to the nooks and crannies of the community and deal with issues, then things are not going to change for us for the better.
And that is it's killing your drive.
Yeah,
Like, we know some people can smoke weed and play basketball and lift weights. And, you know what I'm saying? There's anonymous to everything. But a lot of people are not doing the same thing.
Right.
There's some people that wake up, smoke, and go right back to sleep. That's their day, right? So everybody got to make their own decision about what they want to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our job is just to bring the information, and what our experience is seeing it. And I think, like, we're not knocking anybody. But like I said, there are 1,400 smoke shops in New York City, right? And this is on record that a majority are there illegally.
Right.
So once again, it is a money-making machine that they're going to take advantage of, and capitalize off people trauma as well.
I think we're in a society that, in a world, I'm gonna say, that people profit from poison, right? And I'm gonna say it that way, and people are gonna be mad. Oh, you're a hater. No, I'm not a hater, but poison food, poison behavior, poison drinks to consume, and poison drugs, right? So people use stuff that's not going to benefit your life and enhance your life. Like it made me think about the industry. As you know, I had some run-ins, dealings in the music industry. And I remember when it was time for somebody to sign a contract and they get high, they smoke, and they give them something to drink, and they give them some coke, might have some girls top them off, right? And then they sign the contract, and it's a terrible contract, right? And then you have a conversation with them weeks, months, years later, and they never remember signing the damn contract. I had a situation where I was dealing with an artist who signed a contract with somebody and didn't even remember signing the contract.
Wow.
And was talking about signing to me. And as I started making moves to sign this artist, their manager contacted me and was like, cease and desist. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was like, I got a contract on him. You do? He was like, yeah, I got a contract on him. So the person was like, no, I don't got no contract. I said, I can't talk to you no more because somebody got a contract on you and you don't even, he was like, I don't remember signing it. What was y'all doing? I remember partying a little bit, but I don't remember nothing else after that.
Yeah, after the party.
There you go. And listen, I met this guy, he signed a contract that was a 21-year contract, a recording contract for 5 points. 5 points is nothing. And he signed a 21-year contract.
That's
They get you high, they get you messed up, the girls hit you off, now you're over the moon, then they slide the paper. Boom, boom, slide the paper to you, and now you stuck.
yeah. Yeah, because you're in that fog, that haze, and that's what people are now, just getting high. And especially coming out of the pandemic, right? I don't know what the pandemic did to us, but the go-to is weed.
Yeah, we
Right.
lost a lot during the pandemic.
Like, that psychologically did a lot to people mentally.
Yep.
So, that's the coping mechanism that people are using. But like I said, to me, it's a crisis. I think it's an American crisis now that not everybody, but so many people are smoking weed, and especially the young kids, man. When you got middle school kids, I know people smoked it back in the days, but when you see the middle school kids now getting high, they're not gonna come to a program. They're not gonna go to after school program, right? They're not gonna go to basketball practice, right? Because they can't function.
Right.
The addiction is what it is, and that's why I think the disparity gap and wealth gap continue to just get wider and wider because we are consumed with so much, man.
I know a young lady who was smoking. Well, before she started smoking, she told me she had asthma, right? And so I said, so what you doing for your asthma? She said, well, I'm smoking weed. So my mom was like, is she saying that she's smoking weed for her asthma? So I asked her that, and she said, well, I'm not, yeah, it's natural. I said, so answer me this. Is your asthma worse or better not just smoking weed? She says it's worse. I said, because smoking weed is smoking. So the act of smoking damages your lungs. The act of doing it. If you could smoke toilet paper for all I care, but it's going to damage your lungs because you're putting it in your lungs. And she argued with me. When I said that, I was, because for some reason, you'll have people that say weed is healthy. I don't understand if you took basic biology in school, how you could even say putting any kind of smoke into your lungs is healthy. It destroys the oxygen transfer. It inhibits that. That's why people who smoke, you get them on a basketball court and they get tired and they start huffing and puffing because their body can't get the oxygen because their lungs can't transfer it as fast because you destroy some of the sacs, right? People don't talk about this stuff. And then the other thing with weed is pretty interesting, which is going to be later in our conversation.